Hey team, it's time for an early career designer's portfolio review. I'm Megan Thomas, and I'm a senior UX designer with almost 10 years of experience in enterprise software design. I've taught and mentored over 300 early career designers through UC Berkeley's UX UI Design Bootcamp. In this video, I'm going to review an early career designer's portfolio and share my thoughts as a senior designer. My goal is to provide actionable feedback to help them succeed as they look for a job in the UX industry. Join me for a stream of consciousness walkthrough as I assess one of their case studies. Remember, mine is just one opinion. Make sure to get multiple perspectives before making any changes. All right, let's dive into the review and learn together. All right, let's get started. I'm going to review this early career designer portfolio. Actually, hold on. Here's the beauty of using Zoom instead of Loom like I have been doing, is I can actually go back and read something without my screen sharing, which is, I think, the biggest problem I have with CleanShot X, which is what I've been using recently because the sound syncs better. Loom, for some reason, I think it's because they try to compress the time and they cut out any silences that they can. It desyncs my voice and my face when I'm talking, and that a couple people have called out that is super annoying. And I'm like, dude, for real, it's so annoying. Okay, so today we're looking at Sensei's portfolio, and I really love that name. Like, that's just bringing me back to the Karate Kid, but like, what a cool, powerful name. So I love that. You learned UX through a boot camp. You completed your UX program in November 2023, so just a few months ago, and you've got your portfolio together. Let's see. Sensei says, I ask, how do you feel about your portfolio currently? And Sensei says, I feel that my homepage is complete, but my case studies need a bit more work. Case studies are not completely finished. I feel okay about my portfolio for now. That's good. I think it looks good. What has your professional experience been? This is what I ask, since you graduated your boot camp. And they say, I've been spending some time tweaking my portfolio, but I have now started applying for jobs. I received my first rejection. Hey, congratulations. First rejections are the hardest. I'm not kidding. So way to get that out of the way. And it was for an internship position. And you feel great to have heard back from someone. See, that is the attitude I like to see. That is fantastic. Hello, ma'am. Yes, please sit down in your chair. It's not a chair. It is, I gave her a whole drawer because she is needy. That's Miss Angie over here. I'm not going to move the camera. She's fine. Feels great to have heard back from someone. Sensei, that is a great attitude to have, really and truly. I appreciate that, especially in today's market, which is, as you have noticed, just hearing back from someone is fantastic. So keep that positive momentum, knowing that no matter what, you're going to keep moving forward. What kind of feedback would be helpful is what I always ask. I want to know how I can improve my case studies and how I am showcasing them. What's going to grab the employer's attention and how can I make it stand out? All feedback is appreciated, and they say they don't have any questions for me. So that is fantastic. Let me go ahead and minimize that. So Sensei, this is a very simple and lovely homepage. I think it's great. I think it's cool how you've got this little border down here. I had to move my screen around to make sure that I could see it all. So just an FYI, I'm not totally certain. Actually, let's take a little right click and look. We know this is Squarespace, so this is good. This is good. You've got the border here and it looks really cute. Let's see what it looks like on phone. Nice. All right, this is fantastic. I wouldn't worry about this at all. I'm excited for you. I will say I'm not entirely certain. This is, I don't know that I was an English teacher in a previous life, but I think maybe something in there, like I am the person that notices the double spaces between words, between sentences will make all English speaking, not English speaking people, what am I saying? Like English lit editor type people, it really drives them crazy to have two spaces after the period of a sentence. But I noticed that we've got like a little dangler down here, a little orphan. So if you could pull that back up, I'm not sure why it dropped to the bottom line. I don't imagine that there is any sort of situation here. Although if you're using the Squarespace, because my website is on Squarespace, and if you've got a little spacer in here that's trying to give you some border room from the edge, nice, except it's created a little orphan. Let's actually check and see if that happens. Again, this is not an issue. You know what I'm saying? based in Baltimore, Maryland. It's fine. That's just me calling out nitpicky stuff. Okay, so I'm Sensei, a creative and solutions-oriented professional with a unique blend of experience in user experience design and development, digital communications, and research. So are you saying you're a user experience designer and you do development, or you can process the design into something like more closer to development, like a handoff situation in Figma? I feel like that's a little bit confusing. And what you're telling everybody, what you're telling the hiring managers and the recruiters, is that you're not totally certain what you're doing, not what you're doing. What I mean to say is you're not certain what you are. So I would tighten this up. And I know that this is not contrarian advice. This is frustrating advice for the current job market that you're in. So this may in fact be the ideal way to describe what you do. In fact, I should look at, all right, so let's see what this opens up into. UX, UI designer and web developer. Okay, so that is actually your role. So you can do web development. I'm assuming that means you can create content in the web. Okay, so creating websites on Wix. Associate medical sales representative, research assistant, design intern. You've done some pro bono stuff, student projects. All right. This is a lot of information crammed into one page on your resume, and that is a little tough to process. Although I'm not disappointed in this. I think this is a really solid one pager. If I was going to hand over to someone like, this is me, this is what I do, this looks really, really good. I would want to dig into some more specifics, and like, let's be real, this might actually be really, really small. You may in fact be able to move this into a 2-page resume and give people a little bit more visual breathing room. So maybe consider that. It might also be that it doesn't quite fill up 2 pages and you feel a little awkward about that. I know I did when I had that level of experience, and I'm just trying to be like, how quickly can I get you the information so that you know that I'm good to hire? So that may be what we're working with here. It also feels like our content, like our text, is a little bit small, but you are calling yourself a user experience designer. So you've got experience in user experience design. I would even say web development, because that doesn't tie together necessarily. So user experience design, web development, digital communications, and research. That is a little tighter and a little bit more specific in a little bit of a way. All right, so professional experience. Password available upon request is one of my least favorite ways to show that you actually have this work. So if the password is available upon request, that means that the hiring manager has to see something else on your portfolio that makes you interesting enough to reach out to now in order to get a password. And if they have 900 people applying to a job, they don't have time for that. So I would consider pulling this out of your portfolio, especially if this is the coming soon one. So I'm assuming I can't click through. Okay, I can't click through any of this. And does that mean that this website, this portfolio case study, is now under password lock? That doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like you've got some details on here. So what does the password available upon request actually get someone? So if it's not something that is really like, this is under NDA, I would like to speak to you about this in a one-on-one conversation or in an interview, that is acceptable. But this password available upon request just makes you feel like, I'm holding something back. I'm a little like some interesting stuff over here, but I'm not going to share it with you. What's the point of that? So if you've got information on here, I would stick with that. Also, you've also got case studies down here, and that is not professional experience. So I'm assuming these case studies, therefore, are for school. So Betterfly, an application of the design thinking process. Okay, if they're faster without the hassle. Showcases my design thinking process and application of design principles through the creation of a travel documentation app. Okay, and then restructuring the CDC website's information architecture to achieve a 30% reduction in clutter and enhanced user satisfaction. I'm deeply curious about that because both of these are telling me that you went to a certain type of boot camp for UX, because these are the projects that come out of those. And I'm wondering if those are, oh, interesting. That's cute. It's a good use of the Squarespace design, A/B testing, accessible design, copywriting. This is fun. This website is best viewed on desktop. Now that I appreciate. This did not look super complete to me when I looked at it. So you're saying that this is for, it doesn't look terribly exciting. So my first feedback on this is find a way to bring some visuals in here. So you've got an overview, project brief, design thinking, how might we, background research, but it either feels completely incomplete or it's just not visually exciting. So if I was a hiring manager trying to come through here and find out what is interesting about Sensei and why I should bring Sensei in for an interview, I'm not seeing anything instantly that makes me think, what's going on here? What's good? So my impact uncovered crucial performance issues on the site previously unnoticed by the founder and enhanced website design through comprehensive design and content audits. I would say website, you enhance the website experience through a comprehensive design and content audit, identified potential donation opportunities aimed at elevating the organization's financial outcomes, inspired the team to prioritize a website overhaul, emphasizing its pivotal role in fortifying the brand and expanding social influence. Honestly, this is more interesting than any of this right here. So this right here is not necessary. This is something that I'm gonna start say, ooh, today is the day. I'm gonna say this is the old way that we have told you to do case studies. And I tell you what, this is not necessary to put at the top. Put it at the very bottom, if at all, on your case study. It is Monday, May 6th. I'm probably gonna publish this on Wednesday. Let's mark it. May 8th, 2024. We're no longer putting this at the top of our case studies because it doesn't matter to the hiring manager. And if you are taking up space, very valuable space at the very top of your case study with nonsense information, then the hiring manager knows that you don't know what information is important for them to see. So I would prioritize the impact that you've made. So website redesign, finding solutions to low retention rates and donation numbers. Let's rewrite that. Let's think about this in a way that makes a hiring manager think, what could this person do for me and my team and for my company as a whole? So in your role as a UX designer and researcher, I guess we're doing this case study since I stuck here and started talking about it. I wasn't going to stay here because I wanted to see your other visual stuff. But this is a really good example for others to learn from. It doesn't have to be a visual case study. And researchers in particular are never going to have visual case studies. The problem with that is that most hiring managers, because of the old case study way that we've been doing things for the last 5-6 years, the case study factory, now they're trained to look for something visually appealing at the top of a case study. So I would say we need to invite some of that visual appeal. Remember, designers, humans, really, we love a beautiful plate. We eat with our eyes first. A meal that we are about to experience, the moment it's set down on the table in front of you, you go, oh, that looks so good. I'm so excited. Oh, I can't wait. My mouth is watering already. That is the experience that we're trying to convey on our portfolio case studies to a hiring manager who really only has a couple of minutes to decide whether or not they find Sensei or anyone else interesting enough to call. So I want to see something interesting up here. So I'm chewing through like right now, like what are your crucial performance issues on the site? This is something I would like to see. So previously unnoticed by the founder, bring visuals when sharing ideas with your client. Come on, Sensei, you have it right here. Bring visuals. Bring me some visuals up here. Overall experience, project brief. The Way to Live Foundation is a faith-based nonprofit dedicating to reclaiming wellness through faith in action. The original website on Weebly, definitely outdated. Okay, answer those questions Update it to match the current brand and understand why visitors mostly use the shop section with low overall retention. This project aimed to answer these questions. What questions? I want to see that question as a big like title, a quote. Honestly, it should be like right here visually, kind of like a magazine article. Sorry, my back hurts. Kind of like a magazine article with some interesting call outs. What's that question that the stakeholder asked you to find out? Because you said this project is aimed to answer these questions, but I don't see any questions. So it might be that the question is from the stakeholder that we're putting in quotes up here. I don't understand why customers would come to our shop section, but nowhere else on our site. Can you help me understand that? Question mark. Something like that. Give me a quote here that tells me and a hiring manager that you understand the problem that you were coming to solve. Formulated hypotheses, conducted user research. You've got some design process that we haven't talked about, initial thinking, regular consumers. Yes, yes, yes. How might we? Optimize the user experience to encourage greater engagement beyond just shopping, increasing retention rates. So what's the point of the website first? I want to understand, why does this exist? So they want to help other humans reclaim wellness through faith and action. I think at the beginning of this case study, I want to know, what does that mean? And why is that important to the people who run this website? So I would kind of flip your case study upside down here and start with a question, start with details like those crucial performance issues. That's a visual that you can bring up. So show me what those are. Comprehensive design and content audit. You can create a visual of what a content audit can like look like aesthetically. Maybe that looks like a checklist. Don't drop a screenshot of a spreadsheet. Show me what that experience is like to go, ooh, we had 177 points that we needed to review for content assessment. Identified potential donation opportunities aimed at elevating the organization's financial outcomes. That also, to me, looks like it could be a visual. And as you're a researcher, that doesn't mean you can't also kind of like mock up, hey, I found these opportunities on the website, and I think if you added a donation button here, I think if it had this contrast or this visual impact, it would get people's attention more often. Like, you have the opportunity to bring some visuals in here. You inspired the team. That feels a little generic, to prioritize a website overhaul. It wasn't that you inspired the team. That is giving me like, this is the most important part. I inspired the team. You are not a team mascot. You are bringing real value to the overall operation. So you prioritized a website overhaul through my soft skills of influence and inspiration to help the team understand the value of making that website overhaul happen. How can fortifying the brand and expanding social influence be impacted? Be proactive and be bold. Yes. Okay. I feel like you've got, actually, what's really fun is this isn't done. I can tell that, but this is actually a really solid start to a case study. I feel like maybe I've given you some ideas for how you can make this case study just a little bit more punchy. I especially wanted to focus on this because it's not a student project. This is a real world project, and I think that this will be valuable. Double check your timeline on here, October 2023 to January 2024, but also all of that can go at the bottom. Nobody cares. Give me some kind of impact. Make it feel a little bit, even though this sounds gross, make it salesy. Because what you're doing here is you're selling yourself to that hiring manager that you're not going to waste their time if they get you on the phone for a few minutes. All right, I'm going to go back up to your main website here and look at something else. Look at the CDC, 30% reduction in clutter and enhanced user satisfaction as determined by what? So you used the UI heuristic evaluation to enhance user satisfaction, but how did you determine user satisfaction? I'm sure we'll find out. Roles and timeline, toss that to the bottom. 30% reduction in visual clutter. How did you measure that 30% reduction? Additionally, we optimize the information architecture. We don't use we on our case studies because we're not hiring me as the hiring manager, I'm not hiring Sensei and team. I am hiring just Sensei. So even if you did the work with other people, you're going to prioritize demonstrating what you brought to the table. And then the rest is just enhancing work to say, my work enabled my team to do this. Before and after, honestly, it's good. It's super standard. I'm not going to say that this is like super exciting and sexy, but like, let's be real. CDC website does not need to be super exciting and sexy. It needs to be just enough information to help people get to the next piece of information that they need. I love that you added little indicators to show that there are actually more information for the users that don't typically spend a ton of time on the internet, or if they do, they're on social media sites. So they may not know, hey, if you hover or click on here, there's some information that that can be found under this topic or under this label right here. And that is important, especially for people who are elderly, users who are elderly. They don't have this ongoing long-term relationship with the internet like people like I do, us elder millennials. Why is my nose itching? Us elder millennials that have spent a ton of time on the internet, we know you can click on things. We know that there are drop-down menus, but elderly users, users with cognitive disabilities, and users who are maybe immigrants or people who are they're not native English speakers is what I'm trying to say. As I stutter through all of that, they might not necessarily know to look for this information underneath those headlines. So this is actually like, it's very subtle, but it's a really good decision. Your health and well-being matter to us. What can we help you with today? Honestly, I would even drop a little box behind that just to kind of tie all those things together, apply the Gestalt principles of, now I can't remember. No, I'm recovering. It's been another interesting week health-wise. Yeah, but this looks good. Why redesign the CDC website? Mostly because I was told to. This was a class project. First point of contact, pivotal role in disseminating critical information in the face of evolving. Make this a little bit bigger. This is really tiny text. And it also, I have noticed that this is typical when people are not necessarily using the same size screen. So I have an enormous screen here, and all of these really helpful websites try to make it so that it is a natural flow between a mid-sized screen, a small screen, and a large screen. But that makes it tough sometimes because font size, where are you at? There she is. Font size. Oh, well, 1.2. Okay, so this is viewport width plus 1 rem. I love that they're using calc. This, I assume, is Squarespace and not you. So it's saying that we're calculating a variable based on normal text size value, which we want to assume is 16, but we may not be able to, -1. And then that in parentheses is what, remember, our order of operations. I think you do parentheses first or you do addition first. Now I don't remember. I love that I'm like, remember your order of operations. And then I'm like, I promptly threw that out the window. But basically this is a SAS formula saying calculate this variable based on a normal text size -1, multiply it by 1.2 of the viewport width. That's what this VW means down here. So the viewport width is actually only calculating this to this right now because I have the inspector open. So if I make it bigger, allegedly that text may or may not get smaller. Yep, it just got rid of that. Interesting, it just changed the calculation based on the viewport width and then added a rem, which is so weird to me because it feels like that is an unnecessary calculation, but like whatever, Squarespace, do you, boo-boo. I'm going to move on from that because I'm not going to tell you to change it. If they're calculating this, fine. We can assume that Squarespace has done the correct math and that they have done the right amount of, we hope, accessibility testing to know whether or not this is the appropriate font size based on these calculations. For me, it's a tiny bit small and I wear glasses. So But I would not expect you to write overriding code to address any of their font sizes, because they are accounting for all of the different possible screen sizes, including somebody who turns their phone to the side, somebody using different orientations of tablets. Now we're getting into front-end development coding discussion. That's not necessary. Anywho, this proto persona is interesting. It is difficult. It's incredibly difficult to read. I would scroll right past this, and I would also ask you either tell me why you created a proto persona, probably because you don't know anybody who's ever visited the CDC website before and you don't know the typical person who goes there, but give me an explanation of why you created this, because otherwise this is just an output. It's just a thing you created, but you've given me no context. So as a hiring manager, I want to know, do you do this for all your projects, or did you only do it because this is what you were told to do in your boot camp? Creating a user persona. Carrie Jenkins, nurse practitioner, okay, does yoga, behaviors, frustrations, needs, and goals. That is better than most user personas. But again, this is unvalidated. A user persona is typically created because you have interviewed people based on the proto persona that you've created, and you are able to validate that this is in fact the type of person. And again, you've given me no information about this. So I am going to assume that this is probably just a user persona you created because you were told you had to, because that's what those bootcamp projects do. Typical user path. I would not put this in a, this is an image. Yeah, you got an image here. I would not put this in an image. I would copy and paste this out into text. First of all, it demonstrates that you understand accessibility. This is inaccessible completely. I would also make this just a little bit more visually interesting, because it's a little lazy. It's fine. It's here. But again, tell me, why did you create a user path for this project? What was the reason for the user path? What did you need to know? And what was your ultimate goal? And what did it help you determine? Or what decision did it help you make from that user path? View this in greater detail here. Again, what is this? Is this your user path? Is this the how I got from A to Z? In which case, don't give me teeny tiny screenshots that I can't read. Create me a little visual that takes me through this. But more importantly, tell me why you needed this. That is way more important to me than the visual mock-up of here's how I got from point A to point B. This is a little bit better. I would, more importantly than a user path, I'd like to know the user scenario. Why is Carrie here on the CDC website? Why are they clicking through from here to here? And what are they trying to figure out? What is Carrie trying to solve? What is Carrie trying to determine so that Carrie knows what to do next in their life? So this is one of the frustrations that hiring managers will feel when they look at portfolios from or case studies from like bootcamp projects, is because there's no context given. Why would Carrie need to go to all of these spaces, and why does it matter? So honestly, depending on how you conducted the heuristic evaluation, we're about to find out, the evaluation is not just about design, it has direct business implications. By identifying and addressing usability issues, we aim to enhance the website's, okay. Those are not directly connected. By identifying and addressing identifying and addressing the usability issues, we aim to enhance the website's functionality and user satisfaction, ultimately boosting the CDC's credibility and impact in safeguarding public health. That's a lot. To begin the evaluation, I navigated through the navigation bar and screenshotted the pages I landed on. On a Google document, I wrote my initial impressions, comments, concerns, and observations of every page. Okay. Yes, the CDC website is packed. Too much information on a page, user has to work to find the information. That is cognitive load. And if they have to work to find the information, the more likely they are to leave the site. This is typical for retail, e-commerce, brochure-ish websites, but this is the CDC. I might be here because I have a dire need to be here. I have an urgent situation that requires information from this site. So they're not more likely to leave the site. They're just more likely to leave with the wrong information because they were not able to find the information that they needed. Impact brand perception, sure. but it's not a brand, it's a government agency. Increased bounce rate, visitors not staying on a site for an extended period. Again, less worried about bounce rate on a government agency website, specifically like this. Nobody's here on the CDC for fun. So they want to find out what's going on and reduce accessibility. So information, yeah, that is actually, that's the priority thing we're talking about here. It increases cognitive load and it reduces the user accessibility. There are just a ton of lost opportunities for engagement. The CDC is not worried about engagement. I cannot say that for certain, but I'm going to tell you that I think the CDC is not worried about engaging their users. They want to make sure that the users are well informed. So let's look at more accessibility, usability issues. These are too small to see and I can't seem to click on them to review more. Therefore, this is an output that is not useful to a hiring manager. I cannot tell if you're actually doing a good job because this is a 0.5 point font. So this is not helpful information. I would either focus on just one of these and make it very large or make this image click throughable so that I can like make it bigger, because clicking through to your Figma or to your Google Drive, this may not actually be accessible. Some companies don't allow their employees to click through to a Google Drive because it is insecure. So if they are, for instance, working at a government agency, they may not be able to look at the rest of your usability evaluation, and therefore you've lost the opportunity for engaging that hiring manager. Performing usability tests. All right, now I feel like we just got our portfolio out on the web. Okay, this is good. I'm glad you got it done. This is not helpful. No one is going to read these images, and it doesn't actually tell me what you did. It doesn't tell me what you determined from doing those usability tests. It's also make this a little bit more bullet pointed. Don't try and sell me on the benefits of performing a usability test. If I know what one is, I probably know what the reason for it is. Tell me what you're looking for and tell me what the outcome is. Card sorting, unnecessary pictures. Actually failed my card sorting process the first time. Sensei, I love that you put this. Instead of taking down the content of all the pages, I wrote the titles of these pages. Not very helpful because sometimes the titles did not correlate with the content of the page. Good job. What I think the biggest frustration you're going to experience with this is that the CDC is too large to do a card sorting project on for a student project. It's one of the reasons that for my third cohort, actually for my second cohort, I had people working on much smaller websites. The second cohort, we did something that was more local, but it was still too big. The card sorting this is done by a much larger team. It is done over a much longer term process. It's really, they set you up for failure by having you do this on the CDC. This would have been more beneficial had you actually done that on just like one page even. But the fact that you pulled this out and said, I actually failed it because I did not understand how this worked. Yes, Sensei, that is the way to do it. That demonstrates that you understand, hey, this process isn't perfect and I didn't necessarily know exactly what I was doing, and I learned something from it. This is valuable. This is not. Try it again, this time going beyond the title of the page, creating new labels. But this is, again, it's hard to view. It is not visually appealing. I mean, all the colors are, but overall for a hiring manager, this doesn't tell me anything about your thought process. So make sure to create a separate category. This is, again, a lot of information and I can't read the things. So it's really just like, yay, I made an output, but what value did you provide? Card sorting is such a gratifying process. I would probably take that out because it's not meant to be gratifying. And it's kind of almost lessening the impact of what you've learned and what you've done by saying that it's a gratifying process. It's honestly a grueling and annoying and tedious process, but you learned something from it. So instead of saying card sorting is such a gratifying process, tell me a statement about what you gathered from the start all the way through the finish of card sorting, and like, what is one sentence that you now can say, I understand card sorting better because X as a result of Y, something like that. Through card sorting, I found a solution to improving the intuitiveness of the site's navigation. I would replace this phrase with that phrase. That is a better summarization of what you've learned and what you've done. Creating a new sitemap in order to reduce user frustration. This is a really good layout of a sitemap. This is actually one of the best looking ones I've seen. Really, really good job. It's still too small. I still want to click on it and read it better, but you did a really good job documenting it. And then this is sitemap version 2 and version 3, final version. I don't know that I need a version 2. I think I would like to see version 3 bigger, and tell me why it's better. What's the final version? Why do you feel like this is so much better than the original? Give me 3 points. 2 points even of why I think this version is going to improve user experience. Boom and boom. That's it. Concise and straightforward primary navigation with easier to navigate content. All of that is helpful. Oh Lord, here we go. Low fidelity wireframes. This is too many on one screen and it's very hard to process. This is the behind the scenes that hiring managers are not, they don't care about this. This is not important to them. Also, you've got no context here. So you're just like, let me barf out some stuff and let me dump out the contents of my book bag for you. This is not necessary. You move to low fidelity wireframes after you did the usability testing and after you determined a better sitemap. Fantastic. Style tile, take this out completely. This is one of the main reasons that I know this is a bootcamp project, is because no one out in the real world is doing a redesign of the CEC and does anything about a style tile. This is UI design. Information architecture is an entirely different animal. So take this out completely. I know you're proud of it. It looks really good. I'm excited for you. It's not necessary. Mid-fidelity wireframes, also not necessary. This is the stuff that you can show in a slide deck when you're presenting to someone who is interested in hearing more about you. But this is not super helpful. I would honestly take out everything past the heuristic evaluation, because this is the valuable content. This is real UX. The rest of this is just, hey, we needed to make sure you got homework between modules 8 and 12, right? So this is lovely, but again, you've got no context here, and I think it's because you didn't know what to say. End your case study with an invitation to look at another case study, or better yet, summarize what the person actually saw in this case study. In this case study, I demonstrated that I have the capability to do an accessibility evaluation, to do a heuristic evaluation and identify whatever. You probably had some key takeaways. The outcome by conducting this, we significantly improved user satisfaction. You still didn't tell me how you reduced visual clutter by 30% and how you estimated that amount. A 25% reduction in user clicks, that is actually number of clicks has kind of been disproven as like a metric by which people can be estimated whether or not they're engaging with your content. So refine that. And then like re-summarize the outcome at the end and invite them to look at your next case study. Other than that, this is really amazing. I'm impressed with your ability to use Squarespace in order to put together a case study that looks really good. I think you've got a little bit of work to do in terms of tying everything together. Notice how there's no story. I would like to know, where the hell did Carrie go? We heard about Carrie in the user persona and in the proto persona, and then we never heard about her again. Why does Carrie matter? Did we talk to Carrie or Carrie's proto persona, someone like Carrie, during the usability testing? Something like that. But tighten this up a little bit and make it look less like I would honestly focus on just the AI and navigation part, not the UI stuff. I would take that out. You can already demonstrate that you've got UI and graphic design skills by putting together an aesthetically pleasing portfolio. You could even put together a slide deck that looks really good with this information in it, because you're going to need to talk through a slide deck anyways when you do a case study review with people who, did I just realize? Hilarious. Oh, okay. No. Okay, cool. Disregard. I just got completely distracted. Anywho, Sensei, this is a really fantastic case study, and I think this is going to be really good at demonstrating your ability to do this. I would also put a visual at the top, probably one of your high fidelity visuals that you've got at the bottom, put it up here. It doesn't need context. It's just a way to remember we eat with our eyes first. So we want your hiring manager to go, ooh, that's nice. And then we want them to scroll and read the meat and potatoes of your case study. Take out the stuff that is just extraneous and it is not supporting any of the actual skills that you've applied here. And they are just, I was putting this here because I was told to. Take that crap out of it and let's stop looking like a case study factory. You're doing fantastic. I really appreciate the opportunity to take a look at your case study. Hope you have a really awesome rest of your day. I would appreciate anyone watching. If you've made it this far, oh my God, thank you. But please take a moment and leave some feedback for Sensei. Connect with Sensei on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I want to hear your feedback, but I do this for you. So if you are looking for specifics like, hey, Megan, I'd like to know more about what happens if I only have a heuristic evaluation as a case study, I'd be thrilled to see that. Any questions you have, I'm here to answer them. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Talk to you later. Bye.